today is Saturday, which means it is Parkrun Day, and today we are off to South Manchester Parkrun. So South Manchester Parkrun is located, as it says in the name, in South Manchester, and is located in Platts Fields Park, which is actually a really stunning looking park, and it isn't too far away from Alexandra Park, which we did Alexandra Parkrun at last time we came up to Manchester. The course is 2 laps around Platts Fields. Each of the laps are slightly different from each other, but they're all on hard standing tarmac paths, which means road shoes are perfectly fine and you do not need trail shoes for this course. It is also very flat as well, which means it is a perfect park run for a PB. What is also good to know is that the park run is both dog friendly and buggy/pram friendly, but remember, if you do have a dog, to bring it on a short lead. And then there are also toilets located at the Lakeside centre as you enter the park as well, so perfect in terms of facilities. It was a very stunning day on the day that we went to. The sun was out, so it's quite a hot run, and also I had 6 beers the night before, so this one is probably not going to go too well, but if in terms of aesthetics, it is beautiful. It's got a lovely lake in the centre of the park. There's also tennis courts around the edges as well, and it is also all very green too, so it is a really nice park and a great location for a park run. But before we take a look at the course, what is a park run? A park run is basically a 5k which is run by a group of volunteers who both time and marshal the event. It is all completely free too. Once you hit the finish line, you'll get given a finish token with your position on it, which will be scanned along with your personalised barcode so that it can link your finish time and position, which will be emailed later on. So let's have a look at a summary of the course. And as we said earlier, it is all around Platts Fields Park, all on hard standing tarmac. As you can see, you go around the lake, but you don't actually go next to the lake, so there is no risk of falling in. Your elevation gain is about 11 metres for this course, with a max elevation of approximately 40 metres, and you both start and end in the same position as you can see on screen. So now we've had a quick summary of the course, let's have a look at it in a bit more detail. So you're going to start off on the northern side of the park here, just adjacent from the Platt Lane Sports Complex. You're going to make your way south towards the cross section, where you then turn right, head your way all the way past the football fields before reaching almost Whitmore Road. You then turn left, heading over a wide bridge so it doesn't bottleneck there, which is good, before turning right on the opposite side, running around the south section of the field now. And then once you are close to Hart Road, you are going to turn left, head your way along the perimeter of the south side of the park before turning left on the opposite side. You then head your way north, turning right at the Platt Fields Skate Park, all the way to the far east side of the park before doing an almost U-turn. This is going to then take you towards the lake in the centre of the park before turning right at the bike hub, heading your way all the way north towards Wilmslow Road before you then turn left. Then you can head your way north for just a couple of metres before turning left again and heading your way back to that crossroads where you started. You're then going to do another lap of the south section of the park before you head back to Wilmslow Road and then head north. And then instead of turning left here, you're going to follow your way forwards next to the Queen Elizabeth Coronation Fountain towards Platt Hall before turning left. Remember, all of this whole park run is on hard standing. You pass the crossroads there in the centre, past the Holy Trinity Platt Church, all the way up to the northern side of the park just next to Platt Lane. You do a slight almost U-turn and then head your way back south to where you started, and that is where you're going to end. So it's not bends in this one, but it is quite wide bends, very few actual U-turns to be honest, so it's not really going to slow you down. And then you do actually get to have a look at the whole park as a whole, so it's a stunning park and it was a lovely day as well. So let's take a look at the stats and then we'll get down to the run. So as many of you know, they have got rid of park run stats on the website, but they now have got rid of it on the 5k app too, so there's only a few stats left which I can use, but that's okay. The number of finishers that have been at this park run is 30,327, so a huge amount, especially as this is event number 664 as well, which is the highest event number I've actually done. The number of PBs is 30,567, just showing how quick this one is, along with the average number of runners being 326, so quite a busy park run. and the average time being 27:04, which is very quick compared to a lot of the park runs which I've done. But some stats that we do have are my GoPro stats from the run. So the number of park runs which I have done so far is 51, with the number of locations being 36. My best finish position, as usual, is a lonely jar in Poland where there's barely any people there for that park run. My fastest time was at Somerdale Pavilion, which was 22:32, so pretty quick. I was happy with that one. And it goes all the way down to Riverfront with a time of 23:10. So let's get down to the run and see how we get on today. I can't see it being a quick one. And the reason for this was because we had such a big night the night before. So I was basically out with the uni mates in Manchester, so I knew that I wasn't going to do a good time in today's park run. But I had to make sure I got down there, especially with the weather being so beautiful as well. You can see there, blue skies. Very busy as well. We're currently stood at the start, which we didn't realise to begin with, so we are going to slip into position just now. The run director's going through a few stats and things like that. It was also on the same day that they did the Oasis tickets, so if you did manage to get Oasis tickets, do let me know down in the comment section below, because luckily we did too, which I was very happy with. I left my girlfriend back at the house to sort all of that out, but we're now at the start line getting ready to go. Loads of people there ahead of us, which we expected, and today we are just hoping to get under 27 minutes, to be honest. But we are off now, so the time has started. Sitting just behind Luis Diaz there, so we actually had a famous footballer with us there too on that right hand side. But you can see hard standing paths all across the park, and there is also a grass little verge on the edge if you did want to run on the grass there, but try not to, because it does sort of kill off the grass. But here we go, good start from us. Just sitting behind a couple of people. We're going for the overtake there round on the grass, just as I said, try not to go on there. But then we're going to head straight back onto the hard standing, and you can see on the right hand side the faster runners taking off pretty quickly. And into the first right hand turn at the crossroads. So it's opened up a little bit now, a little bit more space to run, but it wasn't too slow a start. Bear in mind how busy this park run gets. It wasn't actually too slow a start at all. And we're now heading down the long path past the Platts Sports Complex before turning left in a few minutes. And so we have passed the sports complex, heading to the small little bridge which you do have to cross. So you'll see here as we turn left, volunteers point us in that right direction. There is the small bridge here to cross, but it's a pretty wide bridge. Do be careful of those bollards though. You don't want to run into one of those, otherwise you will probably stack it. And then we are going to head off to the right hand side, to the south side of the park. So now we've hit that south side of the park and going to head around the perimeter. But if you do want any of the information on the elevation gain and stuff like that, do make sure to check out my Strava in the link below. And also, if you're enjoying these sort of reviews, hit that like button, it goes a long way. And also don't forget to hit that subscribe button too, as we try and bring out a parkrun video every week. So in this section, the path does thinnen slightly, so maybe it's sort of 2, maybe 3 people in a line. So this section you may not be able to overtake people, but that's okay, because as soon as you get out of here, then you should be fine. We're almost at 1 kilometre as well, sticking at around the 36, 37 metres elevation too, so you can see that the elevation isn't changed that much. But we've hit a kilometre now with a time of about 4 minutes and 35 seconds, so not a bad start there for the first kilometre. However, and again, a little bit too quick off the start. I don't want to be going this quick. I need to slow down, especially as I'm trying to get under 25 minutes at the moment. But as we said today, after the night out yesterday, I don't think there's any chance of that. So as you can see, we've now finished that south section of the park, heading up north. Do be careful of a few obstacles there, and then you are crossing the road. Thank you to the marshal as well for stopping the cars whilst we were running across the road. A couple more bollards there to look out for, and then we are back in the sun. Stunning day, as I said, but it was quite warm as well, so it made it just that little bit more difficult. But I was sweating out the beers from the night before, so I was happy with that. As we now head towards the U-turn on the east side of the park, so you can see people on that left hand side which are going around this tree and heading their way back towards the start line. So we're just coming up towards 1.7k. You can see in the distance maybe the lake, and then there is the bike place there on that left hand side. Back onto the tarmac paths rather than the gravelly sort of paths, and heading our way up north before completing lap 1 as we do a U-turn there at the top. But someone there storming past us on that left hand side, well done to them. Heading towards 2 kilometers now. Pretty happy with my time currently, but can we keep it up? That is the question. So as you can see, we have now passed the 2 kilometer mark. We actually did that one a lot quicker than the first kilometer. We did it by 10 seconds, so quite happy about that. So if we keep this up, it will be under 25 minutes, but I am beginning to feel the beers from the night before. I remember at this point I was thinking, God, I've just got to make it around. If I don't make it around, then I'll let myself down. I've got to keep going, get to the end, and just make sure that there is no throwing up today. But we have managed to keep on this hard standing track. As I was saying, it is very flat on 40 meters elevation right now, so it's increased by about 2 or 3 meters that whole time. So basically it's a great one for a PB, I have to say. Is this, you can get to the front of the start line, then it'll be even better because you're not having to sort of slip past people. There's some cones directing us to the left hand side as we do cut across here, and then there is a second bridge which we do have to cross, but again, very wide bridge, no bottlenecking here, and it has already spaced out as well since the start. We're now going to turn left here, where instead of going straight on, so in the second lap you will notice we're going to go straight on, but in this lap we are turning left. There's that church on the right hand side in the background, and now we're heading to our way towards where the start was at the crossroads. And there we go, so we are almost halfway across. I consider 2.6 kilometers as halfway because it's usually about 5.2 on my Strava, but there we go, we're crossing that crossroads from where we started, but as you can see, it is a lot quieter than it was in the first lap. We've got loads of space ahead of us, and just look at how blue the sky is as well. It was a beautiful day for the park run, especially compared to last week when it was raining. But we are now heading our way all the way back to the western side of the park, where we're to be going back over that bridge and back around the south side. So we are back over that bridge, mirroring exactly what we did from the previous lap. So you're probably going to recognise most of this before we head our way back to the northeastern side. We're almost at 3 kilometres done now, running at a decent time. There we go, just hit 3 kilometres done. So this at the moment is sub 25 if we do keep this up. However, I am beginning to slow, and my 3rd and 4th kilometre are always the slowest 2 kilometres, unfortunately. So I've still not managed to pace myself well enough that I can keep those being a little bit quicker. But I think for most runners, the 3rd and 4th kilometres are always the hardest, as they are the ones where you are mentally finding the most difficult, I always find. But we're now back into the shade, which is nice to cool off a little bit as we head on to the sort of almost more gravelly section here. But it is, sort of, like I said before, all still hard standing, and I definitely recommend road shoes over trail. I don't know in the wet weather whether it ever puddles and stuff like that. Someone will have to let us know down in the comments section below. But for the dry weather, road shoes are completely fine. So as you can see, our pace has dropped dramatically as we are heading towards 3.5 kilometres still on this south section, heading our way around the gravel perimeter of Platts Fields Park. I don't know why so many park runs are called S, begin with S. This is South Manchester Parkrun. I have done about 5 other park runs beginning with S, so it'd be great to have a few more different letters. It's a shame it wasn't called Platts Field Parkrun rather than South Manchester, but I wonder what the most common letter is for a park run. Let me know in the comments if you know the answer to that. So here is the obstacle course again, dodging the gate and the few pillars there on that right hand side before dodging a car which you could be hit by there on the right. Thankfully there's a volunteer there. Couple more bollards here as well, and most of this next section will have a couple of bollards in the way, so that is probably the biggest thing to look out for. It was quite funny actually, the guy that we've just passed just then was playing all the Oasis songs, so it was great to hear all of those, especially as we've been going for Oasis tickets in the morning, and we're now almost about to hit 4 kilometers, so we are coming up towards this final section before we are heading onto the new little bit and then towards the finish line. So there's one more bollard to look out for. 4 kilometers, that took us 5 minutes and 16 seconds that kilometer, so that one was a lot slower than our first 3, so we need to be careful here, otherwise we are going to start dropping towards the 26-27 minute territory, so we need to try and pick up the pace, but I can't see it happening today. And with about 500 meters to go, the pace has dropped a lot. We're there passing a tail walker on the left hand side, so well done to those park walkers there. And we are now about to turn left, heading over the bridge for the final time before doing one extra little loop and then heading our way towards the finish line. So we've kept the inside lane here. The cones are directing us off to the right, so as you can see, people now are heading straight rather than left. You'll see just here as we cross the bridge. And then instead of doing that bend, the people that are ahead that have done that first lap already are now going to head straight forwards. Everyone else needs to go back around and do their second lap. But here we go into the final section. You can see there the fountain on the left hand side, and then there is the hall in front. And then we're going to do a bend around in front of that towards the church, and then a U-turn with a sprint finish to the end. And so here we go, you can see in the distance where people are finishing their run, the church there on the right hand side. This bit here is beautiful, I have to say, really scenic looking park, especially compared to quite a lot of the parks which I have done. This one had a lot more atmosphere to it, and it's got a lake, it's got a church, it's got a sports centre, it's got a hall, it's got fountains, it's got pretty much everything that you want really from a park. And I find the more aesthetic ones make it a little bit easier whilst you're running as well, because you can look around and things like that. But as you can see, it's a very slow park run for us. This could potentially be the slowest if we keep at this pace, but we're doing quite well, heading our way in towards the end. We've not stopped, which was the main aim for today's park run, and I'm definitely not feeling 100% now. Once we got to this section here, you're right in the blazing sun too, but here we go. Can we get under 26 minutes? Maybe under 27? We'll have to see. And there it is, the final U-turn, and it is the sprint finish to the finish line. It's just this long straight, and then the finish is just up ahead. So you can see the pace there, the bottom right hand corner has sped up again. You'll probably recognise this section too, as this is where we started. The finish line is literally just ahead. Can we get under 26? This is going to be a close one. Can we do it? And yes, just managed to get under that 26 minutes with a time there of 25 minutes and 58 seconds and a position of 115th. So that's one of our lowest finish positions ever, and it is our slowest time ever too, but that definitely doesn't reflect on this park run at all. We're now going to head down the finish funnel, collect our finish token, and head our way back to the Airbnb where we were staying. And so that is South Manchester Parkrun complete, ticking off another S on the Alphabet Ear Challenge. So that is now our 6th S. So that also contributes to the Snake Challenge if you have that on the 5k app, adding another S to there. And also it did contribute to our position bingo challenge as well, because we came 115th. So it moved it to the 15th position on my position bingo, which I've not actually got yet. But as you can see, it was one of my slowest times ever, but I definitely don't think that this is a slow course at all. This is definitely PB worthy in my opinion, really flat, all on hard standing tarmac / gravel course as well. So I definitely would recommend this one if you are trying to get a PB. In terms of how busy it was pretty busy, and maybe at the start you might get caught up behind a couple of people, but there's no real bottlenecks on this course. The bridges are wide, the paths are wide, it's just sort of slimming out a little bit on the south section where you're running around the perimeter of the park, but once you get to that bit, it has spaced out a lot anyway, so you don't really find yourself getting stuck behind people. But it was also great to see lots of volunteers on the day as well, all really happy, and the guy that was playing the Oasis songs, big shout out to him too. So thank you very much to all of the volunteers in general, because without them, the park run wouldn't actually be able to go ahead, and we'd have no idea where we're running. We wouldn't know what our time is or anything else like that. So thank you very much to those. But as we usually do, we're going to have a look at a few of the pinch points. So pinch point number 1 could potentially be it being busy. So the busy start, you may lose a couple of seconds at the start, but not really. We didn't lose that much time, but I will add it to the pinch point because it will take maybe a couple of seconds. And then maybe a second one could be the bends, because they all add up, I suppose. There are a few little bends around the course, but compared to a lot of the park runs, it is a lot wider, the bends and like U-turns that you do at some of them, where you turn completely around and head your way back on the path that you're on, whereas in this one you don't really head back on the same paths, so the bends are much wider, but obviously they are going to slow you down that little bit. And then finally the third one, which is a pinch point for myself, not for anyone else, but it's the beers from the night before. I drank too many beers the night before. I had a Nando's, and then when I woke up in the morning I didn't even have a drink or food or anything, because I was rushing to get ready and do the Oasis tickets as well, so that was my bad, and probably why I got such a slow time compared to usual. But now, as we do on every park run video, we go through a few tips and tricks for anyone who is thinking of attending this park run and is watching that video because of it. So if you do want to get there by public transport, we'll start off with train. The closest train station to the park run is the Levenshulme, which I think I've pronounced correctly, station, which is a 39-minute walk or a 6-minute drive from there to the start line. And then another option of getting there with being in the city, it's got perfect transport links, and that is via bus. So the closest bus stop, when I did a little bit of research, was probably the Platt Lane bus stop, but there are plenty of bus stops around the edge. And then from the Platt Lane bus stop is about a 5-minute walk from there. So you just ask for Platts Fields on whatever bus you're on, and they'll probably help you out into getting off at the right stop. And then finally, there is also parking on site as well. It is actually free parking too, and that is towards the centre of the park, and it is via Mabfield Road. So there is also street parking as well along Grangethorpe Road if that one was full, but please try not to use the school car park. They have asked not to use that because I'm guessing that they don't want some congestion there. I'm not 100% sure why, but try not to use that school car park. And then finally, the most important bit of every park run, the afters, where you go for a coffee and cake. So everyone actually heads over to the House Cafe, spelled H-A-U-S, the House Cafe, and then you actually get 10% off in this cafe if you do show your park run barcode, so that's great news as well. But they are all my tips and tricks for the park run, but if you have any of your own, do make sure to let us know down in the comment section below, and I'll try and pin it up to the top of the comment section. And now we'll take a look at my park run stats and my after park run stats. Not much has changed though, as you can see. Number of park runs has increased to 52, number of locations going up to 37 as we head ever so much closer to that half cow club. The best finish position was in 4th, and that was at Zieloni Jar in Poland, as we said previously, and all of my fastest times from Summerdale Pavilion down to Riverfront are all exactly the same too. But if you did enjoy this video, do make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new, as it does help out the channel humongously. And also, if you did enjoy this one, you can go and check out last week's video, which we actually headed over to Tremorfa Park Run in Cardiff, where the weather was completely different and Hails Mary came out, the storms, it was raining there. Or you can go and check out all of my other ones in my worldwide parkrun playlist, including parkruns in Oslo, Helsinki, Belfast, Dublin, everywhere, all across Europe. But next week we are back in Bristol, so I'm not sure which parkrun I'm going to do. There's a couple of which I haven't done in Bristol and around the area as well, so I'll think about it as I get closer to tomorrow. But I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all in the next one.